Decode Dune, an exegesis of the Dune universe.
All right, friends, we're back. It's Decode Dune. I got Jeff here. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
My dog is trying to get into my office where I record. And if he were to bark, it would be very disturbing. So, cool. So here we are, Decode Dune episode. We are recording episode, I think 23, 24. I'm not the best at, hold on.
Yeah.
Let me pull up Libsyn. I should be more prepared.
Not
for
the
my own
best
podcast.
at numbers.
Yeah, that's not really
Yeah.
my thing. What I can say is to the audience who's
I'm no mentat.
what I can say to go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just say what I can say to the audience is so this is episode 23 of Dune, and for those who are mostly here for Dune, our apologies for uploading Decode Foundation episode 3 and then immediately going to a review of the show. But we're back for 2 Dune episodes in a row, and this is episode 23. How's it going, Jeff?
Love it. It's going great.
You obviously found this episode, so you know where to find us. But if you want to join our social media, you can follow us at Decode Podcast on Decode Podcast Dune rather on Instagram, and we have a community called Decode Dune on Facebook. We have heard from people that they're both into Dune and Foundation. I'm not gonna make a second community. I think it's all love between both. So join us there. Where are we today? We are on page, let's see here. We are starting on page 292, book 2 of Dune. And Jeff, do you want to start with the reading? It's a short one.
I certainly do. What do you despise? By this are you truly known. From Manual of Maudib by the Princess Irulan.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So what
some gloating going on.
Yeah.
So
mission success.
it's like George Bush.
A mission accomplished. Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
So the Baron has landed his frigate on the surface of Arrakis. He's grounded it. He's got a fancy bedroom with some tapestries and some carpets or some beanbag chairs, and he is pretending that he's not in a spaceship, as you do, I guess. There's kind of a lot happening here. Let's see here. They have heard that Keynes may have done a double cross.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, the Baron's like, that guy's got to die.
Yeah.
And then a Captain Nefud, who is apparently addicted to the Samuda, which is I think is supposed to be similar to an opiate. Like, I guess you do your Samuda and then you listen to Samuda music is what they talk about.
Oh yeah.
So
it's basically ecstasy and EDM.
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
I think that is how it works.
It's the Molly.
I think. Well,
what
is it an upper like that, or is it? In my mind, it's like more like a hashish den kind of thing. But yeah,
you did not go with me.
I
was laying down a beat.
Okay, do it again.
Do it again.
No, do it again. We'll do it. Tiesto's Lethal Industry. Dun, 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 dun.
We're all submitted out.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
I'm high.
Yeah. I have to say, there was a great period of my life from about 2002 to I think I retired formally. So I did a similar to many of your sports stars. I retired from going to clubs and seeing live like DJs in around 2010. I retired. And then I came back in 2014, and then I formally retired again. And I think the last time was in 2017. I went to see a DJ, and he got on stage at fucking midnight, and we got home at like 3:30 in the morning. And the next day, it wasn't even that I was hungover. It was more just that mid 30s thing of like, come on, if you're not out of bed by like 9:30, that's late now for me. But like at the time it was like, okay, 9:30, I got to get up, got to go be productive. And then I digress. I was like, apparently you can't do this anymore. But from 2002 to 2010, pretty strongly, one of my main jams was going to see trance DJs. And I have to say, great period of my life. And then the 2014 to 2017 redo was also pretty great, but it's a bummer. I guess they have the day festivals, but yeah, it's a bummer not hearing that music anymore, because they all start at like fucking, I mean, the doors will open to the club at 9:30 p.m, opening DJ at 10, main DJ at midnight to like 3 a.m. I can't do it. Yeah. So I'm rambling. So audience, let me know what you think about going to see DJs.
I'm laughing. It's funny.
Anyway, well, did you ever have anything like that? Like, were you into like drum and bass or house? And it was always really like, I mean, because you're to the audience, Jeff Hackert, pretty much without fail, goes to work out at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I would say he wakes up at 5 or 5:30.
Yeah.
Okay. How long has that been going on? And how have you managed the idea of a late night?
Oh, well, when I was a kid. Yeah. So yeah, when I was a kid, when I was young, like you, I was a DJ, not like more like playing sort of punk and whatever. Yeah, but yeah, we went to clubs. Thursday night was the night to go drinking and dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not Saturday night?
Well, the weekends were like live shows. We used to go to club. At first it was like we went to ironically dance, but then later dancing's fun. So we just started dancing. And then my buddy Gary was a DJ and he had these great clubs. And so he did this club called the Fun House. So it was like all this weird sort of circus themed. It had all the, it had like the circus, those games that you play at like the local carnivals. So I used to help him set that up. There's a lot of art and props that had to be done. So yeah, I lived in nightlife for most of my life. Here's what happens. Kids are exhausting. That's how you become a morning person. You need quiet time. So I traded the nightlife for some quiet time in the morning. Yeah. I think work does that to you too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like at some point you're like, it doesn't feel good to be hungover at work.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Capitalism takes all the joy out of everything eventually.
Right. So, okay, cool. All right. We've been told that we've been simultaneously told that the audience doesn't care about us as people at all and doesn't want to hear about us. And then we've heard equally, or actually I'd say more so, the idea of insert yourselves more. It's cool to hear. So anyway, there's a little bit of that. That's a little bit of that.
Yeah.
All right. So all right. This guy's on Samuda.
He's on the Samuda.
Which is like so many other Frank Herbert things, mentioned maybe twice and then it's just a non-thing. Cool, thank you, Frank. Yep. And so this guy was made captain, and they find that Thufir Hawat was captured, and he is able to be brought in front of the Baron, and he's like, I need a new mentat, as it turns out. And so what happens then? He brings in he calls in the Beast Raban. I might be telling this slightly out of order, but he calls in the Beast. The Beast is what's he called? A muscle-minded tank brain. Apparently he's got the kind of thicker body where you can still see some muscle underneath the fat, but apparently it's at some point he's just going to be a gargantuan who needs suspensors. And I just love this, just the way it's for much as I sometimes make fun of Frank's writing, I just love this. The we will woo the formidable Thufir Hawat. Woo him, yes, my lord.
I want to hear this in like that heavy sort of
woo him.
Well, no, what's the it's from oh god, it's the priest who's trying to marry Princess Buttercup. Dear we beloved,
Yeah,
we are gathered here.
yeah.
Yeah, that's how I hear this. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. I just love it. The use of the term woo. We will woo him. Let's woo him. So plot intrigues. What are they going to do? They're going to give him poison that it's not going to kill him. It's going to make him dependent such that he needs it. The withdrawal will be worse than the dose he gets. So kind of a little bit of, I mean, obviously plenty of people are overdosing of heroin and have overdosed of heroin, but there's an idea that the withdrawal of it is extremely bad. So I am not a drug and alcohol counselor. So I was going to say, if you have a manageable habit, it might be better to do that than quit, but I don't know if that's the case.
I think the idea behind methadone, right? Is that that it can be really difficult to just kind of cold turkey, depending on the depth of your dependence on a drug. So things like methadone are meant to help sort of ease you off.
Right. Yeah, it's really rough. So what they're going to do, they're going to whoop him and they're going to poison him such that, similar to not being able to leave Arrakis. So, okay, similar, but not the same. So it says here, Keynes cannot leave. He can't escape Arrakis because he's hooked on the spice and ostensibly would not be able to bring enough of a supply with him elsewhere. So they're saying that he will not be escaping Arrakis. They will be able to find him on Arrakis and then they will kill him. In terms of Hawat, that's Keynes I was talking about. In terms of Hawat, Hawat will be given a poison that is not related to Arrakis at all. It's one that his former guy, Peter DeVries, created, and that he can take anywhere. But the idea is that once he's on it, he's going to have a heart. He's going to depend on it a little bit daily, and they will be his supply. So part of the wooing will be to play mind games around how nothing that happened to the Duke Atreides was Thufir's fault. The Duke was a weak Duke. He didn't have the resources necessary to accommodate a mentat of his stamina and stature. And so the idea is to get him to become their mentat. So Jeff, what do you think about this?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I am excited. I'm actually mentally prepared for my other favorite characters. So I'm not really thinking so much about Hawat in this moment. I'm excited to talk about the other dude. But yeah, I think it's a mistake, and it seems like an easily avoidable mistake. So I just wonder why the Baron's making it.
Yeah, it feels a little contrived.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels a little contrived, and also, how do I put this? Yeah, it feels dated. It feels like a 1965 writing thing. You know?
What do you? That's Zero's
like.
What are you saying?
Yeah. Wait, what?
You literally picked the year I was born. So
what's the year that this book was published? This is the year this book was published.
Oh, true fact. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's been a couple places where we've said like the UA story feels like something that like it's.
Oh, stop it, because we're gonna get right into this in a second. So don't rile me up till we get there. But yeah, the idea that like, yeah, this would be like Operation Paperclip or whatever, where we get the brainiac Nazis, and we bring them. They somehow their interests align with ours, and we make Disneyland or whatever happens from that. We'll have to get Eddie on the show. We'll have to see if Eddie will join and tell us about Operation Paperclip and those things. But yeah, it seems dumb. So here's Jeff Hackert's how to be a despot 101. Anyone who's a threat to you, you eliminate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
I was
don't think they'll switch sides because you
no. Nope. People do things for all sorts of reasons. And so the biggest fool, I think, in any scenario is the person who thinks that they can predict human behavior.
Mhm.
Now, that doesn't mean that, and this is, I don't mean to mix our chocolate and peanut butter, but one of the principal points that is being driven in Foundation is, at least in the Apple series, is this idea that that big data drives an understanding of big populations.
Mhm.
Statistical analysis helps us in the big sense, but at the individual level, harder to predict behavior. And I think that that's always going to be true. Understanding people's motivations, what will drive them in particular areas. And so the Baron is presented us as someone who's skilled at manipulating people. But in this particular case, especially like with Hawat, he really hasn't had the ability to influence him. And it just seems like it's like a hubris, or maybe, like a little bit of pride before the fall, that he thinks somehow anyway, we don't have to talk about the other guy, but that he's just going to subvert his will.
Yeah.
Without really knowing the guy. This is a guy who served multiple Atreides rulers.
Right.
This is a guy who I would be like, it's like you meet Negan. For all of you zombie apocalypse fans, you meet Negan. Do you let him live because he has a lot of maybe potentially useful information? If you watch that show and agonized like I did over why they're keeping this dude around, it's a bad decision, right? So same here. Bad choice.
Yep. Yeah. Just one more time. Another upvote for me trying to catch up with The Walking Dead. It is something that occurs. There's a lot to catch. I don't even know if I would ever be able to, I mean, I would in the longer time. I would in the next 3 years, maybe 5 years, but then I would still be far behind the current. So I would always be behind until they cancel the show. But I digress.
Well, you're never so far behind that you don't understand the basic dynamic.
Yeah.
Somebody's good, somebody's bad. Zombies.
Yeah.
It's like the longest running soap opera.
Yeah.
It's like a disguised soap opera.
Yeah.
But anyway, my point is this. What should you do with Negan if you meet him on the road? You should kill him. What should the Baron Harkonnen do with Thufir Hawat? Should kill him.
Yeah. So, all right, cool.
Yep.
Let's move on. What else? So so he calls in the Beast, and they talk. I'm putting you back in charge of Arrakis, and you're number one. He said, when you last ruled this place, I held you in strong reign. This time I have only one requirement: income. Have you any idea, Raban, how much we spent to bring such military force to bear on the Atreides? Do you even have the first inkling of how much the guild charges for military transport? Expensive. Basically, this is some interesting math. They were on Arrakis for 80 years before, and they spent 60 years worth of I don't know if they meant revenue or profit. It's not exactly clear, but they spent something like they spent 60 years worth of the income of Arrakis, leaving them with 20 years revenue from their entire previous 80 years there. That is a huge gamble. And obviously, it leaves them in a strange place. Not sure if they were talking about revenue versus profit, or what the exact profit margin of the.
Well, they're a government, so it just seems like they pulled the standard Bush Cheney play.
Yeah.
Or Trump or Reagan or
what you're talking about, taxing the population to get that money.
Yeah, that well, yeah. I mean, none of the adherents of those particular names would admit to it. All of those people just generated taxes and then spent it all. It's funny that yes.
You're saying you don't think this money came out of the private Harkonnen coffers?
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. Okay.
Nope.
Yeah.
That definitely not. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I mean, the resources that the Harkonnens could have used, but they're trading those resources for something they think is valuable.
Right.
At least they have a goal in mind, unlike our forays into Afghanistan and other places where
Right.
I was watching a guy firing a rocket, an American soldier firing a rocket that caught that individual one shell about $80,000. So likely more than that soldier could make in a year.
Yeah.
He's shooting it at people who won't make that amount in a lifetime.
Right.
And no plan.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. Anyway, I think the Baron's a step ahead. At least he's like, all right, we got this resource. We have these resources. We're going to use them to further this empire plan that we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, who knows? Maybe there is a plan.
Yeah. So
maybe the Rothschilds are still, I don't know. Yeah. Again, we have to have Eddie on the show to explain all these things because I don't understand them very well. But
yeah. So they're talking about the money that they spent to do this, that they need to squeeze every penny out of the population or out of Iraq as possible.
It's as if he was sitting in the room with Bush and Cheney.
Yeah. Gotta squeeze it.
It's like just extracted future. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe Herbert took mind expanding drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And was in the room. In fact, in the room while Bush and Cheney
traveled through space and time and was able to physically manifest himself.
Yeah. Our listening audience cannot see me making it's like a yes, no, maybe head shake, eyes over the glasses, but yeah, all that is possible. Okay. Should I get off this thread?
I don't know. So what's the part who is it you really wanted to talk about?
Yue.
Oh, Yue? Oh yeah.
Yue, you bastard.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're still talking about this guy and they're still congratulating themselves over breaking his imperial conditioning.
And then the Baron feels ashamed with himself for gloating in front of Raban. He's like, why am I bragging in front of this guy who means nothing?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what else? So this chapter's short, and I think we want to get 2 chapters into this episode. What else is there to say about it? Squeeze, not exterminate. It is mentioned. We hear more of so a miscalculation on Baron's front, right? Raban says, I think the Fremen are a threat, and I think we should take them seriously, and so do the Sardaukar. And Baron says,
why now?
No.
Yeah.
No. He does say the local nobility could, in their various little businesses like water shipping and all that, he's like, they could be a problem. But apparently no one wants to look at. So yeah, the Baron's been pretty on point so far, and now he's starting to slip as soon as he's victorious, it seems like. Yeah.
Pride goes before the fall, right?
Right. So
I would also be like, if I were him, maybe this is me and my sort of paranoid approach to but I would be, if I secured a victory this flawlessly, I would be super worried. Why? Nothing ever goes according to plan.
Right.
Or as our good friend Mike Tyson once said, everybody has a plan till you get punched in the face.
Right.
So the idea that everything went off without a hitch and that the Baron is like happy about that really is just kind of poor understanding of who Baron Harkonnen is or should be and how he should be represented. The Baron should be the most paranoid person in this scenario. upon successful completion of any endeavor like this, you would expect him to start offing people like crazy.
Right. Right.
Yeah. It's a good thing I'm not a despot.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, yeah, it would be Macbethish, right?
It would have to be. Yeah.
A Banquo, you were my boy, but now you got to go.
Gotta go. Yeah. I
Right.
mean, literally, like I don't see why the Baron even thinks he has optionality or choice here. And I can't imagine if the person that has sort of tracked so far, the person we think we're dealing with, I can't understand why this person isn't just purging right now.
Mm-hmm. Wonky writing, just wants to kind of created this great villain. Now he's sort of hamming it up. Showing us
I mean,
why.
it could be
Yeah,
in 1960. By 1965, though, I don't know. I have a question about this, but by 1965, this should have been clear. I mean, the Cultural Revolution began only a year later in China. So it's just hard for me to believe that it wasn't conceivable that a despot like this would just go. And there have been many, many, many before Mao. So,
sure.
Anyway, all right.
Yeah. Okay. I think any more to say about this chapter? I mean, what do we got? The highlights are they spent a lot of money. We already know that to get this. They have won. They've easily won, quote unquote. The Raban is being put in charge of Arrakis.
Sending in the beast.
Yeah, secretly, the Baron's plan is to. Oh, we didn't mention this. We mentioned it previously, but secretly his plan is to remove Raban at a certain point and insert Fade Routha. A lovely boy, really, a lovely boy. We'll see. So he's saying that he'll see in the next couple of years as Fade develops if he's the right one to make the Harkonnens an emperor, the family of emperors.
Yeah.
They lost Peter DeVries, but they're gonna woo Thufir Hawat instead. And Keynes, as soon as they find him, they're gonna kill him.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the chapter. All right, cool. All right. So next chapter, I think we should do 2 chapters in this episode.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're back. Do you want to read page 306?
Yeah. At the age of 15, he had already learned silence from A Child's History of Muad'Dib by the Princess Irulan. This is up on our refrigerator at home.
Really?
Just to remind my children.
I can't tell if you're joking.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just love that this is the children. This is the thing that they're telling children in the children's books. Shut up.
Yeah. The artist respects the silence that serves as the foundation of creativity. You ever seen that video on YouTube? The small man yelling at the trumpet player on the streets of New York City?
Yeah.
You're not an artist. You shit. An artist respects the silence that serves as the foundation of creativity. You don't have that. You shit.
Love it. All right.
All right.
So Paul is. They're camping still.
Yeah, they're camping. I find this chapter to be kind of a bore. A couple important things happen, but the reason why I'm proposing, maybe it's just my mood lately, but I feel like, I could be wrong, but I feel like book 1 of Dune had a lot of stuff to talk about, right? Yeah. And then right now we're in sort of a plotting, moving thing, and there's just a couple highlights per chapter. I'd be curious from your perspective if you find that agreeable. But if I were to summarize the chapter, it would be, they're still in the desert. We get some aspects of desert life in the next 2 chapters. We're going to see that every time you step in the open desert, worms are a threat. Cool, good to know. But is this the chapter where they use the foam and they do the unburying and that whole fucking thing? Yeah, I think it is. So what happens? We get some sense of what desert life is like around here. Cool. They make a misstep in the desert, and there's a little sand kind of sand thing. And what happens? Jessica gets buried completely. Paul panics and drops the Frem kit that they are absolutely dependent on, and it gets buried. We see, dumbass. So we see some Bene Gesserit stuff where he calms his mind and then goes and retrieves Jessica, and then he gets her out, and then it's like, okay, well, we don't have the pack, so we'll be able to get, we have our flashlight or whatever, but we'll be able to get far enough to see where we're going to die unless we get this pack. And then they do with a MacGyver thing. I found this part really hard to understand, but I guess it's like they mix some battery acid with some other bullshit and they make some foam, and they're able to dig under the part that's foamed over so that the sand won't move, and they dig under it, and then they like do a thing where they're like in this pocket and they grab the strap on the pack, and then he like pulls her over and down so that it like prevents. And I'm from Cleveland, Ohio originally, and then I live in LA. I don't know about desert life. I haven't been to the Moab. I haven't been to Utah much. So a lot of the scenes and the idea of like crevices and fissures, like if you Google fissure, if you Google image search fissure, most of it's related to anal fissures. So I don't know the topography of deserts, but I found this was just a little weird and like foam. Like here's what it showed. It showed that Paul can think outside the box and use intelligence and problem solve. And that is to make up for his original mistake, which is panicking and dropping the pack and letting it get buried. So they get the pack back.
I think there's an element of this that we have to touch on that is weird and sexual, and you'll enjoy. So
I do.
Yeah. So I think this is just quicksand porn. This whole chapter is just some quicksand porn.
Okay.
And at this time in the 60s, like this, we were still, as a culture, America was still deep in its fucking quicksand fascination.
Oh, okay. So this is a thing I don't know about. Tell me more about quicksand fascination. Like if I Google
it's a fetish. Yeah. Google quicksand fetish.
Okay.
Yeah. So it started, as I understand it, like it started at least in Hollywood's fascination with it in the 30s with Tarzan, and then it just very quickly became this trope where everyone's fucking drowning in quicksand.
Holy shit, you aren't kidding. The complicated realities of living with a quicksand fetish. Another one, a YouTube video, that's crack.com. Hollywood's quicksand fetish, Vice quicksand fetish, Drowning Glory, a brief look at quicksand fetishes.
It's the best place to go is TV tropes for the purposes of our conversation, because it's the trope is quicksand sucks. And it's just this whole, it's related to a bunch of other memes, but that's really all this chapter is about. It's this weird interlude before they find the weather station, right?
It was quicksand in the Never-Ending Story. The Swamps of Sadness is a quicksand fetish. All right, continue, please.
But there's also quicksand in the movie I referenced earlier, The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Right, where they're in the swamp with the rats of extraordinary size or whatever, the beasts of extraordinary size or something, fire rats. I can't remember what they were, but it's a very common theme. So someone in Hollywood, some of these Hollywood elites, they like to be confined.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they like some dirtiness. Anyway, so that's my take on this. It's just George Herbert, or sorry, it's just Frank Herbert giving himself a little thrill.
Being part of the scene.
Yeah. Tip of the hat to his fellow fetishists.
Okay, so awesome. so quicksand fetish happens. And then they do a thing. Somewhere in here, because they obviously came right from the the thingamabobber. They got to this point by landing the Thufir that they escaped in from Keynes's secret laboratory or whatever. They call a worm to eat the the Thufir, and it in fact does. And what are you doing?
I'm whistling.
Yeah,
I'm whistling to a worm.
Yeah, they did in fact get the worm to eat it and removed any evidence of where they arrived. So the Sardaukar nor the Harkonnens can find them. Yeah. So then quicksand porn. Paul does a MacGyver and shows some. So Paul fucks up.
That's right. Me
panics.
And this paperclip will save the day. I will use my bindu. Yeah. Prana bindu training.
Yep. Yep. Does a MacGyver, gets her out, and then it ends with her saying, "Great, good to be alive. Let's get to some rocky area where we'll be safe." And then she says, "You have a lot to learn. You almost fucked us back there with your panic, and for as far as you've come, you still have a long way to go. We're going to work on finger prana, your body's." Sorry, I'll just read it. "Today you panicked," she said. "You know your mind and bindu nervature perhaps better than I do, but you've much yet to learn about your body's prana musculature. The body does things of itself sometimes, Paul, and I can teach you about this. You must learn to control every muscle, every fiber of your body. You need review of the hands. We'll start with the finger muscles, palm tendons, and tip sensitivity." She turned away. "Come into the tent now." He flexed the fingers of his left hand, watching her crawl through the sphincter valve, knowing that he could not deflect her from this determination.
Does it make me a 5-year-old that I laugh every time?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That he must agree. "Whatever has been done to me, I've been a party to it," he thought. "Review of the hand." He looked at his hand. How inadequate it appeared when measured against such creatures as that worm.
Yeah.
So what do we see here? We see, I think, after a couple chapters where Jessica was maybe feeling intimidated by Paul's growing adultness or whatever you want to call that I think this thing at the end is a little bit of a, but you're not all the way there yet.
Laughing again.
What?
Say that again.
Say what again?
Is intimidated by his growing adultness.
Yeah.
It was like the best, worst romance novel description I've ever.
Yeah.
Also, very, very topical. It seems like today the young people like porn that involves
stepmothers.
Oh my God, what the fuck? I guess that's not a topic for this show, but someone has to explain that to me sometime.
I've never had a stepmother, so I don't know.
If aliens come and all they find is YouPorn or Pornhub or whatever the fuck it is, that they're gonna think that that's the only family system there is.
Yeah. I have never had a step relationship with anyone. I would say, without having that context, I would say any woman that's not a blood relative is fair game if you're
Sorry, I'm just dying. Okay, fair enough.
What do I know? I don't know.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
If you suddenly were like, "Hey, here's this girl that is almost the same as a classmate from school, but now you live together." I don't understand the step relationship, right? Whatever. That's just, you're just putting, I guess maybe I just don't believe in those bonds. I don't know.
Gotcha. That's okay. This is good to explore.
Fans, listeners from mixed families, let me know how you experienced your step siblings. I would say most women would probably be like, "My stepbrother is a brother," and gross. I think most dudes would be like, "That's not my sister." That's a girl. That's a girl.
That's a girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there you're probably right.
That's my take.
That's your hot take.
My stepsister is not my mom. That's just a woman. Maybe if you were like 3 years old and you truly grew up with them, but we're talking about families coming together at like anything past 10 years old, that's just a girl. That's just, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't had the experience.
Yeah. Okay.
I digress. So
Yes, I know. I digress. Let's just be fair. I dragged us back into the mud.
Yeah,
See what I did there?
I did that. Yeah.
I went right back to the other
Quicksand. Quicksand.
Yeah.
Also the sphincter valve. All right. Well, that's the episode. So, so Paul has a lot to learn. Jessica reasserts her position, which is good because obviously Jessica's going to have a really important role coming up. So I guess it was just a brief little moment of feeling outdone by him. So anyway, that's our episode. This has been episode 23 or 24. I said it earlier, but I forgot. Episode 23 or 24 of Decode Dune. You can find us wherever you find podcasts. You obviously found this one, but go ahead and join our Instagram page at Decode Podcast Dune, or definitely get us on Facebook at Decode Podcast. We have a growing community. People are starting to post their. This was actually a nice milestone. Someone posted their own blog article about Dune. Because they now think there's enough of an audience on our page who want to talk about Dune to hey, more people will read my blog if I post it in this other Dune book or Dune group. So that's a sign that we're really going somewhere, and we have new people joining every day. So that's it for this episode. Thanks a lot, and we'll catch you next time.
All right.
Like and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. And to hear more readings, become a Patreon supporter at Patreon/Decode Podcast.